All right, good afternoon, everyone. This is the fourth day of the Singapore FinTech Festival. And we are very, very happy to have the CEO and founder of Autumn, Mike Kruger, with us in the studio here today. Mike's passion is about improving, people's kind of quality of life using technology. And he has been on this journey for a long time, I think, and he's done it across 3 countries, the UK, Australia, and now Singapore. Autumn is a venture within Standard Chartered kind of ventures. And basically, it's to help people reimagine, what their retirement or future planning might look like, right? So I guess it's kind of a good place to start because, according to kind of facts, 1 in 2 people who are kind of around 45 are either not started to plan for their retirement or don't really know where to start, right? So welcome, Mike. Tell us why is Autumn different from, what you get out there today on wealth planning and stuff like that? Give us a little bit of a background on Autumn and, kind of where you see it going.
Sure.
All right.
Well, thank you very much. So Autumn is different from the traditional providers of life planning, financial advisors, retirement planning, in a number of ways. Like, first of all, the most importantly is that we are holistic. So when it comes to planning for the future, a lot of the traditional providers of financial advice, and particularly when it comes to retirement planning, focus on the aspects that their revenue depends on, which is about financial products. But this misses out considering a huge aspect of life, which is your lifestyle choices and how those lifestyle choices impact on the likelihood of you developing chronic disease later in life, which can impact costs of health, longevity, quality of life, these sorts of considerations. And in fact, average spend in retirement on health costs is about 30% of your retirement spend. So if you make poor decisions when it comes to lifestyle choices, you can completely blow away your retirement plans. You can blow them out of the water. And that can have a hugely deleterious impact on your retirement. So first of all, we are holistic. We incorporate health and lifestyle considerations in the planning as well as the wealth stuff. Secondly, we are neutral. So we provide recommendations, products, tools, services to help people plan for the future in a way where we are not advocating one over the other. We don't have a bias towards one over the other because we're not selling financial products. We provide the recommendations, the advice, small a advice, without selling the financial products. So when a customer comes to the Autumn platform, they can have trust that indeed we are acting in their best interest. There's no hidden behind the scenes agenda, there's no commission, no trail income that might be affecting the recommendations we give. So being neutral. And then thirdly, we have an open marketplace. So we give recommendations from the entire market of services and products that are available to the customer. Rather than having an exclusive and limited set of partners that we work with, we take into consideration all of the options so that when a customer asks for a particular recommendation regarding a solution, they can see that we've considered all the options and we're making a recommendation for these two, particularly for the customer for these reasons. The customer can have confidence that we've taken into account all of the different options so they don't have to go away and do the research themselves. So really saving them time, providing this foundation of trust.
Okay, so I guess kind of what you said, which I think is quite interesting, is you talked about lifestyle choices and then how it impacts you in the future. So I guess Autumn is probably one of the few that I've kind of come across that talks about more take care of your health first before you take care of everything else in a way. Because a lot of the rhetoric now is around taking care of your wealth, like how much money do you need, how much money do you have. What you're saying is that think about your lifestyle choices now because it will severely impact what you might need, even in a monetary sense, right?
Absolutely.
So if you were to describe kind of Autumn in one sentence, how would you describe Autumn then? That might make it sound, might get to the essence of what Autumn is about.
Sure. So one way you can think of Autumn is it's like the Google Maps of life planning. It really helps people figure out a path from where they are now to where they want to get to, taking into account all of the different products and services that they have available to them, and the different financial institutions and health organizations that they might have that's providing services to them. Yes, so Google Maps for life planning.
Okay, that's actually very interesting. So you're basically saying that there is one destination most of us are aiming for, which is how to live well when we kind of have time to live a lot better. And autumn basically gives you many ways of getting to that destination.
Well, yes, but also it's different from normal, like using Google Maps, in that when it comes to thinking about retirement or thinking about the future, a lot of people have no idea what they want to do with their retirement. Yeah,
true.
So it's kind of more like holiday planning. Like, here is all the different things you could do, the different destinations you could go to. Which ones are interesting to you? Which ones are going to result in you being happy, aligned to your values, are going to allow you to experience freedom or family or adventure?
Yeah.
So helping people think about the destination is one part of the service we provide. And on the other hand, when it comes to planning for life, a lot of people coming to autumn are already partway through their lives. So you think they're partway through the journey.
Yes.
But a lot of people don't really know where they are. They don't know where they stand. Like,
okay.
how much do I have and how much do I need? And aggregating all of this wealth into a single view and just simplifying just that understanding is a really useful aspect of what we provide, just to help people understand where they are now.
So basically what Autumn does as well, it's not just giving you the route to your end destination, it's also actually a bit like a compass. It's telling you where you are right now in your journey.
Where you are now, help you think about where you want to get to,
All
and
right.
then provide different paths that could take you from A to B, depending upon what's important in your life.
Okay, that's very interesting. So you've been, Autumn has been around for a little while. In your journey in Autumn, hasn't been anything within Autumn that has been surprising, that you have, that you didn't think that was, kind of going to be important within the whole Autumn context?
Yes. So I think the most surprising thing is that when we started out, we initially targeted our marketing at the 40 to 55-year-old segment. We thought people in this age group were going to be most strongly motivated to get their plans together. If you think about it, it's kind of at this age, you have the highest discretionary income. You're earning more than you ever have before. Your children are starting to move out of home, go to university, so like you're getting a bit of more space and free time, less spend. They're starting to earn their own way. You're starting to see colleagues at work having some health issues, touch wood. You're having uncomfortable conversations with your parents about what their retirement plans, what their future care expectations are. So we thought this group would be really strongly motivated to get their plans in place, and they would be an ideal initial target user for us. Mm-hmm. But what we have found actually is that it's the kind of 29 to 34-year-old segment that is much more engaged. Young people these days really want to get their plans in place, and whether they're coming to autumn, well, usually they're coming to autumn because they're coming up to a significant life choice. So they're thinking about starting a family or buying a house or getting married or having kids, like this sort of thing. And they want to make sure that they have all of the right information. They've collected all the information. They have the knowledge to hand. They have the skills necessary to make the right decision. And they need the tools to actually turn that decision into action. And so young people are actually strongest adopters. So that's one thing that's quite surprising. And secondly, it was really surprising at the level of wealth that the 29-year-olds had managed to accumulate, and particularly in Singapore, particularly when the cost of living is so high, cost of housing is so high. It's quite fascinating.
So why do you think that? What in Autumn do you think is particularly attractive to the younger segment? Because as you rightly pointed out, the younger guys, it's not quite at the point where all the difficult conversations will be starting, and I guess the horizon is not that close yet.
Yes.
So why do you think in particular that, Autumn in its kind of, in its kind of being is so attractive to the younger guys?
Yeah. I think it's just part of the zeitgeist. Over the last few years, we've seen this massive uptake in the kind of day trading apps and the crypto and things like this. There's a huge amount of interest, and people these days are really looking for ways to get ahead. And so there's a lot of interest in what is all this stuff? What are NFTs? What are cryptos? How do I become a billionaire overnight, like all these other people I read about on TikTok or watch TikTok? So there's this kind of movement in general. And then secondly, what we see is that young people make financial decisions differently to the older generations. We see younger people are more likely to consult their friends, their peers, online tools for information and for recommendations and advice, rather than going to government sources, which is where traditionally people would go for trusted information, at least in Singapore. So there's this kind of two things going on. There's this rise in digital tools and people looking for alternative investments and ways to make their wealth work harder. And then secondly, there's a cultural shift.
Okay, so would it be fair to say that knowledge is very important to the young? So and Autumn is built in such a way where there's knowledge and that's agnostic, so it's not biased in a way. And the fact that the young actually want to have the freedom of actually making their own decisions around this stuff.
Yes.
And Autumn allows that in that sense as a platform. So would that kind of be fair to say that's why the two kind of main things that are important to the younger is predominantly what Autumn is all about? Yes,
that's definitely one way of looking at it. Another way is very similar, is that we are trying to simplify financial planning, and we are trying to so simplify financial planning. So this is about improving the literacy of people, helping people understand what they need to know and provide some educational material, foundations around financial planning, improve their skills when it comes to making financial decisions. So this is about helping people understand their relationship to money, what are the factors that affect their decisions, whether they're emotional, intellectual, have got family, things like this. So help people understand, build the knowledge, build the skills, and then provide the tools necessary to turn those decisions into action. Yeah. So something I was just curious about, is the reason why a young person is more kind of willing to start doing all this stuff on a digital platform like Autumn is because they feel they have enough time and that the horizon is much longer for them? Then, a person maybe in kind of late 40s, would they be more fearful of starting any of the stuff because they don't want to know what they don't know? Yeah, well, there's definitely a strong element of people, some people just not wanting to know. They're like head in the sand, they don't want to know, they're afraid of finding out. There's a lot of fear, and so they don't even want to start thinking about planning. Right. And as you open with, roughly 1 in 2, by the age of 45, have yet to make any plans and feel like they're completely unprepared. And a lot of this is about fear and shame. The fear that I've left it too late, I will never have enough, I have somehow left down the family, things like this. Sorry, I forgot the question. So the younger doing this are more open to doing this because they have a longer horizon. Yes. So they actually have no fear in... Well, on the other hand, you've got the financial independence, retire early movement. Yes. So a lot of people looking to have their plans in place and retire much earlier. So there's more of a motivation to get it sorted out sooner. And on the other hand, you have people looking at retirement differently. Instead of having a sharp cliff, work to a certain age and then retire and go live on a beach somewhere or your sofa, depending. People are thinking about retiring, more spreading it out over the years and do a mini retirement in their 30s and a mini retirement in their 40s and then their 50s and keep working actually a lot longer, because when we ask people, what does retirement mean to you? When do you want to retire? What will you do in retirement? These sorts of questions. A lot of people respond, I want to keep working as long as I can because I love working. I love the meaning it gives me. But what I want is the freedom to choose what I work on. Yeah? Okay. And that freedom comes from that financial independence, from having the financial plans in place, for having the emotional certainty, the peace of mind that everything is on track and that you can make these decisions based on what you love rather than on financial necessity. So I have one final question. We have time for one final question first before we go to questions.
You know, when everyone talks about planning for retirement, they talk about planning for retirement as to how much income they'll have when they retire. Do you see a greater kind of emphasis now on people planning for their future? Maybe not use the word retirement. Looking at what they need from a health perspective and a healthcare perspective, because healthcare is, the cost of healthcare is enormous, right? It's growing in double digits every year. It has been for the last, 5-10 years. It's definitely 3-4 times inflation. Where do you see, and how important do you see this planning within the whole, planning for retirement piece, right? Good healthcare.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The cost of healthcare is increasing, and it's outstripping wage growth and inflation. Cost of living also going up. So finding a way to manage these costs, to have either the savings set aside for these expected costs is one way. Secondly, you can manage the risks using insurance, and so having good understanding about the different insurance options and how they work together is really important. Or thirdly, and this is what we see a younger generation being much more mindful about, is you can manage the risks of health costs in the future by making better lifestyle choices. And I'm talking about being more active, having better nutrition, making sure your sleep is in a good place, not drinking so much, these sorts of things. They're very simple, but they can have a huge impact on the likelihood, the risk of developing chronic disease in the future. So this is one of the reasons why Autumn is holistic, because if you can take the health considerations into account and help people make healthier decisions around their lifestyle choices, adopt healthier habits, you can save them a huge amount of money in future, but also help them live longer and have better quality of life.
Okay, so if you were to kind of put it in a nutshell, right, having, kind of interactive customers and figuring out that the younger people probably use a platform like Autumn a lot more, where do you see your next kind of, advancement in the platform, and where do you want to pay more attention to? What would you want to improve on to provide the right kind of, I guess, benefits for the customers?
Sure.
Yeah.
So we started off at the wealth management end, because coming from the bank, being born from the bank, this is where a lot of our expertise started. So a lot of the functionality that's in the app at the moment is about helping people manage their finances. And we're looking to launch some significant functionality in that space over the next 2 months. February in particular is going to be quite a large release. It's very exciting. But following the kind of the rounding off of the wealth management stuff, the financial planning, health is the next big segment. So this is why we're partnering with Dakadu to help people understand the financial impacts of their lifestyle choices and to manage those risks, either by saving more, by taking out insurance, or by changing their lifestyle choices. And following this, we're looking to roll out insurance product analysis to allow our users to upload their insurance policies, provide some analysis on where they might be overcovered or undercovered, and make some product recommendations to help them optimize their insurance portfolio. So these are the kind of the two big chunks that they're going to be following early next year.
Okay. So I guess the last bit is quite topical now and has been for a while, security on your information. Like if I'm using a platform like Autumn and I'm telling you what I want to do in the future, and I'm telling you how unhealthy I am, or I'm telling you what bad habits I have and all of that, how would the customer feel kind of, this information is going to be sacred and it's going to be, looked after properly, and it's not going to be used to, product sell or, product push or anything like that?
Yes. So there are three things there. First of all, the ethos of Autumn is that we are customer-centric. So the data we collect from our customers belongs to the customer. It is their data. And we hold it securely and privately on their behalf, and we use it on their behalf and only on their behalf. This is the purpose for which we collect it. So you could think of us as a private advisor with a small a,
right,
using the data that the customer has entrusted to us. Secondly, because we are part of SC Ventures, we're part of Standard Chartered Bank Group. Our genesis means that we have bank grades, data, privacy and security controls built in, like right from day one. So our customers can trust their data with us. They know we'll hold it securely, it will be around when they need it, and it's going to be robust and reliable. And thirdly, the third point is, whilst we are part of Standard Chartered Ventures, we are separate to the bank. So we have different systems. Any of the data that the customers share with us does not get shared on with the bank unless the customer requests that we do so.
Okay.
So we hold it securely, we hold it privately on behalf of the customer for the customer.
Okay. Okay, so I guess we're probably at the end of kind of more the conversation we're having. I'm just going to open it up for any Q&As that might come up. All right, there is one. How do you manage health costs when you're retired?
Do you manage health costs when you're retired? Aha. Okay. Well, first of all, it's never too late to live a healthier lifestyle. Yeah?
Okay.
Yes. So first of all, do what you can to be living well.
Right.
So presuming you don't have insurance in place?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Well, look at what insurance can be taken out. Depending on what age you are, some of these options may not be possible.
Right.
Thirdly, that's a good question. Be looking at, actually, how do you do it?
How do I do it? I basically, from life experiences, have always been overinsured from a health perspective.
Yes.
Only because my family has had very bad illnesses when they're very young, or at least my parent had. And so we've always planned that way. But what I had discovered, which is an interesting thing, is that health insurance gets very expensive when you're older. And it's very difficult to pay for it when you're older because your income is lower at that point in time, or for most of us it is. So one of the reasons, this is a topic quite close to my heart, and the reason why I'm asking it is maybe it's something that ought to be more made well known to people who come into your platform, especially when they're younger, to think about putting aside something for that, for when they're older, and to insure themselves earlier maybe. And whether or not there's an opportunity eventually for Autumn to work with the insurance partners to co-create a product that might look a bit different, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely opportunities there. If you look at the kind of data that customers are sharing with us, it allows us to have a much more holistic view of the customer than any single insurance company or bank, for example. So because we have a much better view, understanding, a more holistic understanding of the customer, we can have a much better assessment of the risk this customer presents, particularly regarding like health in this case.
Yeah.
So I could imagine in the not too distant future working with a reinsurer to create some microinsurance products specifically for customers who might find themselves otherwise uninsurable, or where the premiums is just too expensive. But because we have a more precise understanding of the customer, their habits, their lifestyle, the way they work and live, then we can create a product that is affordable for them and does provide the coverage they need.
So I guess, is it fair to say then, in this whole journey to plan for your future, whether it's, you know, to have a second wind or second freedom or retirement or whatever you call it, that the more information you provide and are more precise about the information you're providing, the better your ability to plan and the better the options are that can be made available to you.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, the old garbage in, garbage out definitely applies. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess there's one thing around, the last thing I want to touch on was, how have you seen the interaction with Autumn changing with COVID, given that COVID is so topical these days?
Yes. So the situation with COVID, I think the main impact when it comes to planning for life with COVID is that there's a huge amount of uncertainty and fear. There's fear about your health, there's fear about your job stability, there's fear about the economy, there's fear about what's happening with your loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of this uncertainty leads people to want to have more control in the aspects of their life that they can control. And whether this means staying in a job which you perhaps are not enjoying or would rather leave, but you stay in it because this is something you can control, it's reduce the uncertainty. Or whether it means becoming more polarized in political views, which we've seen in other countries. People are looking to really reduce that uncertainty. Part of one way to reduce that uncertainty is to have your plans in place, yeah, to really pin down exactly where am I now, where do I want to get to, and what is a plan from here to there, and be really clear in your mind to have peace of mind that this path is what I need to follow, and I am on track. Yeah.
So, what would your tips would be for someone to start this? There is I guess, quite a big kind of, quite a lot of inertia, which is why so few of us have done it. I mean, there should be a lot of us doing it more, I think.
Yes.
So what would your advice be, how do you, to get someone to start it?
Sure.
To start this journey?
Well, first of all, download the Autumn app. Secondly, the starting point is to understand what you need to do. Yeah, improve the knowledge. You identify areas where your financial literacy may be lacking. Yeah, just establish a foundational understanding of financial planning, life planning. Secondly, spend some time thinking about what is important to you. What is it that gives me joy? Where do I find happiness? And look at what is valuable in life. And then consider, of all of the energy that you spend throughout your life and the money that you spend, are you spending on the things that are going to bring you joy? And are you investing time and money such that you'll be able to find this joy in future? Yeah. So whether that's investing in your relationships or making sure you're investing in your health, it's really worth spending some time to think about what is important in life, really. A lot of people find they get caught up in trying to keep up with their peers. Like young people these days using the app tell us that that's one of the biggest challenges they find, setting aside savings, getting started on the investment journey. They don't have enough money because they spend so much trying to keep up with their peers. My recommendation there would be to stop and have a think. Like, is buying this thing really going to bring you long-term happiness, lasting happiness? Or is it something that's short-term, and actually the money would be much better spent investing on an experience or investing in future health or investing in relationships? So secondly, first of all is knowledge. Secondly is think about the values. What is important to you? Where do you find joy? What's important? And then thirdly, put together a checklist of these are the things I need to do, prioritize them, and whether that's setting up a rainy day fund, paying off debts, get started with investing, just start ticking them off one by one. Yeah. And
so if I fix the first two already and I'm going into the third bit of what the checklist might look like, then Autumn will give me kind of an easy way to actually get that checklist into reality, I guess.
Yes, that's right. So what we're looking to do is provide that, first of all, the financial literacy to help people with the knowledge, the skills, and then the tools. And the tools are things like the checklists, mm-hmm. Yes, but then also the recommendations about if you want to start getting investing and your financial literacy is relatively entry level. Have you thought about getting into robos or ETFs? And like, here's a series of articles explaining how you do that, and mm-hmm. Here's how you execute it, and here's how you kick off that investment. And then being able to walk customers through that journey. And watch this space. We'll be able to do more in that and help customers make that happen much more seamlessly. But you have to wait until February.
Okay. All right. I think that's all we have. If you want to know more about Autumn, Mike, where should they go?
So autumn.sg. Yep, autumn.sg.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.